Shalom, shalom. I want to give honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Al Shai. Let's talk about the Feast of Dedication that's coming up December the 13th at sundown to all the way to December the 21st at sundown, right? Okay, let's get into some precepts, right? All right, because we got to keep these feast days. Let me get a quick precept. Nahum 1 and verse 15. Behold, upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth a peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off, right? So it say, Judah, keep thy solemn feast, because them Edomites are going down, right? And it said, oh, Judah, but it is talking about the 12 tribes, okay, of Israel, right? To keep the high holy days. Oh, Judah, keep thy solemn feast, right? Right? Then Yahushua, did he keep the Feast of Dedication? Let's go to it. Right? John 10 and verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was winter, right? So meaning Yahushua kept the Feast of Dedication, right? 23. And Yahushua walked it in the temple in solemn, let me read that again. And Yahushua walked it in the temple in solemn porch, right? So meaning Yahushua walked it in the temple during the Feast of Dedication. So we supposed to be in the temple during the Feast of Dedication, following the footstep of Yahushua, right? So let's go in the Maccabees, okay? So you brothers and sisters, y'all need to get a Apocrypha, the ones new to the channel, right? You see that red book, the Apocrypha, like it's $9.99. So y'all better hurry up and get it, all right? Because it's going up, okay? So this is where you find the Feast of Dedication at, okay? Right? So we need to get that book, right? So let's go to First Maccabees 1 and 1. All right. It's First Maccabees 1 and 1. I'm in that red Apocrypha, right? And it happened that after that, Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians, and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, right? So the Feast of Dedication should start with history, right? And it start with knowing about the Greeks in order to know about the Feast of Dedication, because the Feast of Dedication predicated, right, on us destroying the Greeks, okay, and cleansing the temple, right? So Alexander reigned it over Philip. Let's go to Daniel 7:6. Talk about that, okay? Daniel 7 and verse 6. Daniel verse 7 and verse 6, right? And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it, right? Right, meaning this is the Greek empire referred to as a leopard with 4 heads. And why? Because the beasts are referred to as kingdoms. Let's jump down to verse 17 to prove it, right? I believe it's 17. Verse 17. These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall rise out of the earth, right? So meaning Daniel saw these beasts, and actual beast is a vision, right? But it's symbolic or similar to, right, for actual kings or kingdoms, okay, that will come out of the earth, right? Let's go back to, I want to read Daniel 7:6 again. Daniel 7:6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it, right? So the 4 wings of a fowl, meaning that's different regions, right? That Alexander divided, okay, his empire in 2, right? So the beast also had 4 heads, meaning the 4 major generals who he gave his kingdom to, like what's that, Ptolemy, Seleucus, Cassandra, right, and Lysimachus, right, All right. So, and dominion was given to it. Okay. Meaning because the Most High set them up. Okay. Let's go back to First Maccabees 1:1. Okay. I'm gonna read 1:1 again. Okay. First Maccabees 1:1. I'm in the Red Apocrypha. Okay. For the ones who are new to the channel. And it happened after that Alexander Slaki, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persian and Medes, that he reigned it in his stead, the first over Greece, right? So meaning he came out of Greece, right? The Macedon, out of his father, right, was Philip the second of Macedon, right? Okay, and he took down Darius the third after the battle of Gaugamela, right? Around about what, 331 BC, right? He became the sole ruler of the known world, right? Verse 2. And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, right? Meaning the Lord was with him to do this, right? Verse 3. And went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up, right? So think about when you read, the Acts 18 chapter 6 verse, right? And you will read about Apollos, and you'll read about Alexandria, right? And Apollos and Stephen, right? And they were from Alexandria, okay? And those men was from the city named after Alexander the Great, right? And so you can read about Alexander even in the New Testament as well, okay? Right? So, and his so-called legacy and influence, right, that he had on the known world, right? Verse 4. And he gathered it a mighty strong host and ruled it over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him, right? Verse 5. And after these things he fell sick and perceived it that he should die, right? Meaning Alexander had AIDS, or scholars would say like what, stage 3 syphilis, okay? And he getting popped by, one of his soldiers, okay? Right? Verse 6. Wherefore he called to his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive, right? So meaning they were brought up with him, right? Right? So he had a lot of worldly wisdom, okay? And he was taught, and all that wisdom of the ancient Greeks, like what, mathematics, the concept of physics, science, or poetry, right? And Alexander, he knew all them things, right? And they actually fought over his body, right? That he would take Alexander's body back, to Macedon or Egypt or Babylon, all right? And what city we are going to bury him in, right? Okay, and that's how the war actually started, right? Verse 7. So Alexander reigned it 12 years and then died. Verse 8. And his servants bear rule, everyone in his place. Verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them. Many years, and evil were multiplied in the earth, right? So meaning evil was multiplied on the earth when them Edomites came into power, right? And that's why they had to take this out, the Apocrypha out, right? Because they didn't want us knowing that they was popping these boys, homosexuality, they rape, rob, and murder. And when you read 2nd Ezra 6 and 54 on down, Most High said they are nothing. They like spittle, and they are heathens. They didn't want to see that. They took this out, okay? All right? The Protestant church took this out, okay? The Apocrypha out, right? So, So, this is when the Edomites came into power, right? Let's get Let's get a precept. The more the Edomites multiplied, it's the more sins on the earth. Let's go to the classic Proverbs. I want 29:16 or verse 17. This is 29. It's Proverbs 29 and I want 16. When the wicked are multiplied, the transgression increased it, but the righteous shall see their fall. Right? So meaning the more Edomites you have, the more sins, right? And the righteous shall see their fall. So the Most High willing, we will see they fall in the last days. Is that the Most High willing, right? Okay. So let's go back to 1 Maccabees 1 and 10. 1 Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus surnamed it Epiphanes, son of Antiochus, the king who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks, right? So Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, right, was a hostage at Rome, right? So you can read about that in Daniel 11 chapter, right? He came out of Rome and he slew the man that was supposed to rule, right? Okay. Then he took over the kingdom, but he is the one's going to be responsible, right, for initiating the revolution of the children of Israel, okay, right, led by Matthias, right, and his sons, okay. Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow, right? So, man, meaning that's contrary to the law. The Lord said in Exodus 23 and 32, right? You should not make no covenant, okay, with them or their gods, right? Loosely paraphrasing, all right? And this sound like Jake today, okay, right? Ever since we stopped relying on the heathen, we had much sorrow, okay? So you brothers and sisters in the truth, and y'all had that mindset thinking like, let's go make a covenant with the heathen. Since we haven't been with the heathen, we've had much sorrow. What does that mean? Let me go back to the world. Let me go back to smoke cigarette. Let me go eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. Let me be a whoremonger. Let me be a homosexual. Let me be lesbian. Okay, right? Because Esau, all right, he'll let you do anything. Okay, right? So that we can't be, we can't be relying on the heathen. All right, we can't be having that mindset. We had much sorrow since we left the heathen. Since the Most High took us out that world and he brought us in his truth. Okay, we can't be having that mindset what our forefathers back then was doing it, okay? All right? The wicked Israelites, all right? Persuading men and saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen round about us, right? That's verse 12. So this device pleased them well, right? Verse 13. Then certain other people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen, right? So a license is a pass to have liberty, all right, in the way of the other nations, right? So the freedom to go do certain things, okay? Our people back then, all right, they had license to do after the heathen, right? Okay, same concept today. Our people got license to do after the heathen every day. Right now, it's the Sabbath. They breaking their Sabbath. They buying and selling. They doing what the hell they want to do because Esau giving them a license, okay, right, to live like them, right? Okay, so celebrating Thanksgiving, celebrating this Christmas coming up, New Year's, 4th of July, all right, Memorial Day, etc., etc. Okay, Valentine's Day, right? Esau give them license, right? These are the modern day Greeks today. Esau, okay, right? So we can't be following the ways of the heathen, all right? and following after your own lust. Okay, right? Let's go to verse 14. Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen, right? So they want to build a gymnasium, right? And they wanted our little boys to work out naked, right? And wrestle them other boys. Okay. 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant, right? And joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief, right? That's what our people was doing. Okay. Let's drop down to verse 41 and 42. 41. Okay, we're dropping down to verse 41. We're still in the Apocrypha. All right, 1 and 41. Okay. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. I mean, this sound like Babylon today. Did they say that back then, Genesis the 11th chapter? Okay, should all be one people, no matter what your race is. You know, we all one, right? So this is when Hellenization comes in. All right, so meaning they fall in the ways of the Greeks. Okay, right? Now, when you read Stephen and the other brothers, okay, if you read that count of what's that, Acts 6 and I think Acts 6 and 1, loosely paraphrasing, that our people, they was acting like Greeks, right? But Stephen and the brothers, they was there to feed the ones that, you know, the homeless, the fatherless, the widows, you know, that was Hebrew Israelites, okay, right? That spoke the holy tongue, right? But the Greeks is the ones, that's the Israelites, but they acting like Greeks. They was getting mad. Let me bring that count out. Let me loosely paraphrase. This is Acts 6 and 1. You get it? Acts. This is Acts. It's Acts 6 and 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration, right? So meaning they were neglected because it was a prejudice going on, right? And the Jews said, all right, y'all speak Greek, all right? So y'all don't speak the holy tongue, the Hebrew, okay? So y'all got to get back in line. But the ones that speak the Hebrew, they come in the front of the line, right? Okay? But the ones that didn't speak the Hebrew, right? So they started to, you know, they started getting neglected, okay? Right? So that's why the apostles, you know, they like, you know, set them 7 deacons up, okay? You know, who all had Greek names, right? So they knew about the Greek culture, okay? Right? And so they'd be able to relate to, you know, these women to, you know, to take care of them, right? So, right, so you basically, you had prejudice going on between the women, you know, that speak Greek and the women that spoke the Hebrew, right? Okay, right, because Paul, he spoke the Hebrew, right? Ain't that Acts 22 and verse 2, right? Just loosely paraphrasing, though, when Paul spoke in the Hebrew and all the people kept silence, right? Right, so, and that's the language of the heavens, right? Okay, let's go back to First Maccabees 1. Let me go to, drop down to verse 50. It's verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandments of the king, he said he should die, right? So meaning, if you didn't call yourself a Greek, you would die. All right, that's plain, okay? And that was the law. And just like today, if, you know, we call ourselves an Israelite, you know what I'm saying, we are going to get put to death, right? And they will tell you to denounce the Most High and eat that pork. And if you don't do that, you're going to get put to death, right? Verse 51. In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city, right? So man, just like now, them Edomites, man, they shut down city by city by making you, get the, how can I say that word? I want to get my channel, flag, the poison. You know what I'm saying? You get the poison, right? And to city, make you go, make you go to hell off, right? And that's what's happened. That was happening back then, right? Every city. And we're seeing them different men's, right? And shut city down until they offer, swine flesh up on the altar, okay? Right? And it's the same thing. You have, look at the Feast of Dedication, right? And the Maccabees, right? So if you're going to come back on this earth all over again, and instead of us having, a revolution, Yahushua is going to deliver us, right? But the concept of the Edomites, right? They're going to make you bow down to their gods, right? And we are running to the wilderness, the abomination of desolation, right? And all these things are going to manifest themselves on the earth this time, sevenfold, okay? 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, every one that forsook the law, and so they committed evil in the land, right? Verse 53, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor, right? Succor mean help, right? So our people, man, they had to flee, right? So our people had to leave their dwelling place and flee to the wilderness, right? Because they were going, they was going to house, right? Making us bow down to the Greek gods, right? Okay, and eat pork. Man, them days is coming back, right, on the earth, right? We gotta hold ourselves diligently, okay? Because the Most High going to try us through the fire. He want to see who his chosen people are, right? Let's go to it. That's 2nd Esdras 16 and 773, if I'm mistaken. I'm still in the Apocrypha, just in case, the brothers and sisters still, new to the channel. This is 2nd Esdras. I'm in that red book. 2nd Esdras 16 and 73. I'm gonna start. Let me start with 68. This 2nd Esdras 16 and verse 68, right? Behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered it unto idols, right? So, man, you got to think about it. These are the Edomites. Man, they burning wrath, right? And just think about it. He's in his office, right? Just think about how he's going to destroy the Israelites, all right? In every state, in every country, and you can just go for it, all you brothers and sisters in Japan, Africa, London, Australia, not just here in America, okay? Right? We all got to go through this fire, okay? Right? Okay? Right. Because, man, they're going to be taking certain of us, they're going to take away, right? They're going to kick down our doors, all right, in the middle of the night, and take you away, throw a black bag, over your face, and putting you in a van, and taking us to a FEMA camp, right? And feeding you, being idle mean, okay, you get indulgence, in sin against your will, okay, and making you eat that pork, all right, then you're going to die, right? Okay, so 69, verse 69. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in a reproach and trodden underfoot, right? So if y'all know what consent meaning you are getting down with it, all right? Man, you eating, they telling you to eat that pork, you're not resisting them or nothing. You just getting down, eating that pork, right? Okay, and trot it up on the foot, okay? That's meaning you're going to get killed by the Most High, all right? for considering eating that pork and being weak. Okay? The verse 70. This verse 70. For there shall be in every place and in the next city a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Right? So in every place, all right? I mean, you know, that's every city. Okay? Insurrection mean a rebellion against the government. All right? That's what it means. 71. They shall be like mad men, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, right? So they're gonna be like mad men, all right? Right now, for example, you get pulled over by the police right now, right? They give you a warning or give you a ticket, send you by your way, right? All right, they ain't mad men right now, right? So they let you get away with it right now. But in those days, man, you're not gonna get no warning, all right? It's gonna be straight high trained and military personnel, right? And they're gonna be aiming to kill with headshots, right? All right, they ain't gonna be sparing. They're gonna be like mad men, sparing none, all right, and destroying those that fear the Lord, okay, right? Because we get away with it right now, but Most High gonna put that spirit on them, right? They're gonna be mad men, sparing none, all right, okay. Verse 72. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses, right? So basically, man, you brothers and sisters, man, y'all stocking up all that goods like the spaghettis, beans, rice, etc. Man, they gonna kick your door down and spoil you, okay? They gonna take it and hit you in the back of your damn head, all right? They gonna spoil you, all right? And throw you in that FEMA camp, all right? 73. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold and the fire, right? And what we just read, what the brothers in Maccabees experience, right now, okay? So what the Maccabees experience, okay? They had to go through that. We're gonna have to go through it, okay? Right, but in an ancient way, right? Instead of rifles, you know what I'm saying? Instead of rifles, they came with like staffs and swords with the brothers and Maccabees back then, but they're going to come with rifles with us in these last days, right? Right, so they're going to make you eat that pork, right? Instead of handcuffs, right? They're going to, you know, on the Maccabees back then, they used ropes, but they're going to use handcuffs on us, right? So these are the days that the brothers have to deal with, okay? So the Feast of Dedication should stir up your mind, or what to come, right? And also in the ancient times, okay? So we need to be reading the account, you know, what our forefathers went through, okay? Right? So we need to stir up our mind, because we already know this was going to happen. Most High, you know what I'm saying, we got to go try, okay? We got to go through that fire. The Most High want to see who is his chosen one is going to be, right? So we need to be stirring up our mind, okay? Right? Yes, Feast of Dedication, right? We turning up, you know, we enjoying the music, the food, but you know, we need to be thinking about the Feast of Dedication, what's going to happen as well, right? We need to know why we celebrating the Feast of Dedication, okay? Right? Okay, because the Most High can do what he want to do, right? As the scriptures say, you know, he'll make his enemy at peace with him, right? Loosely paraphrase. Let me just grab that count. Let's go to the classic, Proverbs. Proverbs 16 and verse 7. This is Proverbs 16 and verse 7. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies be at peace with him, right? So, man, you never know, man, how the Lord going to work for us in Jacob trouble, right? Okay? Because just think about it. It could be an Edomite with an AK-47. You running. He caught you. He looking at you and probably say, man, I got a son. That's somebody's son right there. He put his weapon down and he tell you go on. He go back the other way. It's all through the Most High. It's all through the Most High. The Most High can do that if that's what the Most High want to do, right? Okay? right? So we never know, we never know how the Most High will work for us in a time of Jacob trouble, okay? So you brothers and sisters in this truth is serving, them Lord in truth and sincerity, right? And we need to start building that spiritual faith, right? While we still have time, right? Because the Maccabees, they had it bad, right? But guess what? Jacob trouble, we're gonna have it 1,000 times worse, okay? Right? So we need to keep that in mind. We need to get in the scriptures, right? Okay? We need to build our faith up, all right? Right? Let's go back to it, okay? Let's go back to First Maccabee. I'm on 150, where I'm at, I think 150. I think I'm at 153 or 154. Let me go to it. First Maccabees 1 and 50. Yeah, that's First Maccabees 1 and 54. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu Slaki, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and built the altars Slaki throughout the cities of Judah on every side, right? So the 15th day of the month Caslu, meaning the 15th day of the ninth month, right? So back then they had a physical temple with a physical altar, right? And they set up the abomination of desolation, right? And they began to offer, pork, swine, flesh with blood on the altar, of Yahweh, okay? Right? To abominate the Most High, because the Most High, he smelled it as a sweet savor. But they want the Most High to smell that pork, right? They want the Most High to vomit, right? And they wanted to antagonize and provoke the Most High. And that's evil and wicked what them Edomites was doing, right? Putting swine and stuff on the altar, okay? Right? That's verse 55. And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets, verse 56. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burned them with fire, right? So meaning, these days, man, they coming back. They coming back on the earth, all right? They burning books back then. Guess what? They gonna burn the Bibles in the last days. Last time I checked, then Hitler, then he burned them books. He got rid of books, okay? Right? Man, it's gonna be like the hate speech. It's certain things you ain't gonna be able to say, okay? Right. So it's just put it like this. You brothers and sisters, y'all better be having about 3 or 4 Bibles, okay? Nothing up under 3. I'm telling you, y'all need to be collecting Bibles. Nothing up under 3, okay? Right? Because, like you say, you can buy your Bible at Amazon right now in the stores, but that's gonna come to an end, okay? So you need to get them Bibles, right? All right, because they're gonna be confiscating the Bibles, and when, hey, like say, I'm just keep it real with you, all right? If you get caught with a Bible, you're gonna get put to death in these last days, right? Okay, so we brothers and sisters, man, we gotta start. We need to start studying, all right, and getting prepared, all right, while we still can. Because when Jacob trouble jump off, you're going to get caught out there, all right? If you ain't reading, you ain't studying, right? So we got to read and study as much as we can, right? Go and get them Bibles, okay? Right? Verse 57. And whosoever was found with the book of the testament, or if any commit to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death, right? So it's plain on tables. We're gonna get put to death, all right? We're gonna be public enemy number 1, okay? And the number 1 threat is us, the Israelites, right, on this earth, all right? So we got to count the cost, being in this truth, right? So we got to have faith and hope, right? And it's about endurance, right? And this is what this thing is about. All right. 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month to as many as were found in the cities, right? So Matthias, he didn't sell out, okay? He left the city, he left everything, okay? Right, and went to the mountains, all right? That's like what we're gonna have to do. We'll have to leave the city and go to the mountains. Let's go to the precepts. Let's go to First Maccabees 2 and what I want, 2 and 28, 29. Let's start with verse 27. This First Maccabees 2, 27. This First Maccabees 2 and 27. And Matthias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintain the covenant, let him follow me. Right? Meaning Matthias, he said, we are not selling out. Verse 28. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that they had in the city. Right? So meaning they left everything in the city, right? And we have to leave everything in the city as well, right? We got to flee to the mountain, right? And the desolate places, okay? So, you know, and that's the same thing about the precept. And, you know, that's Matthew 24 and 15 on down, right? And they had to do that in 70 AD, right? In the time of the Maccabees, you know, so in the days of the Maccabees and the abomination of desolation is going to happen again, right? Now we cleansing the sanctuary in the last days, right? Okay, let's go to it. First Maccabees, I want 4 and 40. 4 and 40. Now it's First Maccabees 4 and 41. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed it, the sanctuary, right? 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, right? 43. Who cleansed it the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place, right? So meaning that's happening right now, right? On a spiritual level, right? And we are cleansing the sanctuary and that defiled stones, which are the men of the Most High temple, right? And they are being thrown out into the world. So the brothers falling out the truth, right? You know, back then they cleaned out, you know, a physical temple back then, but right now it's a spiritual temple, right? Right? Brothers and sisters, okay, right? Which is an unclean place. The pure stone is going to remain with the temple, right? So we are dedicating the temple, and we are the temple, right? And the unclean stones are going to be removed, right? So the unclean temple is going to be removed. You brothers going back in the world, man. You know, if your temple, I mean, your stone is not clean, you know, you're going back to the world, okay? Right? Going to remove that stone, all right? Okay, so you know, and that goes back to in our law, Leviticus, the 14th chapter, right? They go back to Leviticus, the 14th chapter, and the clean stone, which are the men of the Most High, and you are going to remain in this thing, right? So, verse 44. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, 45, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down. Right? 46. And laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to shew what should be done with them. 47. Then they took whole stones according to the law and built a new altar according to the former, right? Verse 48. and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed it the courts, right? And so just like Esau, he defiled the temple, right? But we're building it all over again, right? And we are doing it on a spiritual level, right? And we are taking out the stones, and we are building up the altar, and all of these things are being done in the last days, right? Verse 49. They made also a new they made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlesticks and the altar of burnt offerings and of incense and the table, right? So they brought the menorah, right? You know, to give it light in the temple, right? And we supposed to have 7 branches and not 9 branches like the Elamites. So this is right here, the 7 branches, the menorah, right? The Elamites, who are they today? The so-called Jewish people. They use 9. Okay, they going to hell off. All right, they ain't got no business having this. Okay, but they don't use 7. All right, they use 9. But anyway, you brothers and sisters got to go to Amazon, just the 5-inch. Okay, so y'all need to get one. All right, we got to have that for the Feast of Dedication. Okay, so you know you can light it 7 candles. All right, 7 of them, you know, for 8 days straight, or 1 candle for each day. Doesn't matter, as long as you light it. All right. Okay. So, right. So, you know, in the menorah, you know, it goes to, you know, 7 spirits of the Most High. Right. On a deeper level, you know, it's the nation of Israel. Okay, and that is what the menorah is about. All right. Verse 50. And upon the altar they burnt it incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlesticks that lighted, that they might give it light in the temple, right? Meaning they lit the menorah, right? So you should have a menorah for the Feast of Dedication, right? So menorah, so how you spell that, just in case y'all don't know, that's M-E-N-O-R-A-H, okay? Right? So them 7 candlesticks, they represent the 7 churches. And who represent them 7 churches today? All right, the nation of Israel, right? Let's go to it. Let's go to Revelation 1 and verse 20. The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches, right? So this is symbolic for the nation of Israel, right? The elect of Israel. And you had actually 7 churches, you know, from Philadelphia to Thyatira, right? But you know, the 7 candlesticks, they represent the 7 churches, and those are the, you know, the candlesticks, right? Okay, so let's go back to First Maccabees. I want 4 and 50. I think it's 51. Right. This First Maccabees 4 and 51. Right. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished it all the works of which they had begun to make. Right. 52. Now on the 5 and 20th, verse 52. Now on the 5 and 20th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Casalu, in the 148th year, they rose up bedtimes in the morning, right? 53. And offered it a sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar, burnt offerings which they had made. 54. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even in that was it dedicated with songs and cisterns, and harps and cymbals, right? So that's where dedication comes from, and that's what Hanukkah mean in the Hebrew. It means dedication, right? So the Feast of Dedication, they turned up, you know, in righteousness, right? With songs and cisterns, right? And harps and cymbals, right? Verse 55. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who have given them good success, right? 56. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered it burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed it the sacrifice of deliverance and praise, right? So the feast of dedication is it's 8 days, you know, and we don't have to offer up a burnt offering because Yahushua is our offering, okay, right? And it is 8 days of feasting, and they had food and music, right? So 57, they decked it also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed it and hanged the doors upon them, right? So man, y'all can put decorations, you know, for the Feast of Dedication and deck it out with, you know, marvelous things in your house or the building, you know, decorate it up, right, on the Feast of Dedication, okay? Right, verse 58. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away, right? Right, so we should be glad in these days, right? And it's not the time to fast, right? It is time to turn up and be merry, right? So it's time to be merry. So it's no time to fast. On the 8 days of Feast of Dedication, don't be fasting, okay? No fasting, all right? So we need to be eating and drinking, all right? Them 8 days. Verse 59. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained it that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days from the 25th day of the month Casleu with mirth and gladness, right? Kept in their season, meaning in the wintertime, right? And with mirth and gladness, right? So that means, you know, eating and drinking. Don't y'all be worrying about y'all job, man, the cares of this world, okay? Bills. Leave that all behind and keep the Feast of Dedication. Drink, you know, eat, be merry. Don't worry about the worldly things. Don't worry about for them 8 days, right? Okay? So, you know, we cleansed the altar, right? And you know, and we destroyed the heathens through the Most High, right? You know, we kept the feast day. Let's go to it. 2 Maccabees 10 and verse 5. The 2 Maccabees 10 and verse 5. Now upon the same day that the strangers, the heathen, okay, profaned the temple, all right, on the very same day it was cleansed it again, even the 25th day of the same month, which is Casleu, right? So you know, like I say, we destroyed the heathen, right? We cleansed the altar, right? You know, and we set up a feast day, right? Verse 6. And they kept the 8 days. Slucky, let me read that again. And they kept the 8 days with gladness, as in the feast of the tabernacles. Remember that not long before they had held the feast of the tabernacle, when as they wandered it in the mountains and dens like beasts, right? So remember the Feast of Tabernacle, right? The first day is a holy convocation and it's a Sabbath, right? And the last day is a solemn assembly, right? And that's how you keep your feast day, Feast of Dedication, okay? And this, man, is patterned after the same ordinance of the Feast of Tabernacles, you know, but without the booth. The booth is the tent, right? It's the same concept as we celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles, but we have to have tents. But Feast of Dedication, the same thing, but without the tents. So we gotta keep it the same way, right? As we keep the Feast of Tabernacle without the booth, the tents, okay? Right? Let's go into the law. Let's go to Leviticus 23. And 33. Leviticus 23 and 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, 34, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacle for 7 days unto the Lord. Right? The verse 35. On the first day shall be an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. Right? So this is how you keep the feast of dedication. It's a holy convocation, meaning a holy gathering. No buying, no selling, no work on that day, unless it's pertaining, preparing your food and cooking your food. That's the only thing you can do. All right. Okay. That's the first day. No servile work. No work for hire. All right. It's a Sabbath. Right. Let me break this down real quick. I'm gonna break it down after the next verse. Okay. 36. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and you shall do no servile work therein. Right? 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire. No, we're not doing that. Okay? Yahushua was our offering. Okay? All right, so we're not doing that, right? And the 8th day shall be an holy convocation, right? And it's a solemn assembly on the 8th day, right? Okay, like we did on the Feast of Tabernacle. So the solemn assembly is a little bit more grave, a little bit more serious, right? So you keep it more like you would keep your actual Sabbath, right? Okay, so it's 8 days of feasting and cooking for all 8 days, right? Now let me break this down. I want y'all to look at y'all calendar, right? So remember, Friday night on the 12th, December the 12th at sundown, is our regular Sabbath, right? From Friday night sundown to Saturday sundown. So it's no buying, no selling, no cooking. You know you gotta have your food already prepared. All right, without fire. All right, you know without fire means no grill, no stove, no microwave. You got to eat food without fire. Cereal, turkey sandwiches, things without no fire. That's our regular Sabbath. All right, remember it's a double Sabbath. So soon Saturday night at sundown on the 13th, that's the first day of the Feast of Dedication. All right, so you know it's no buying, no selling, no working. You can prepare your food and cook Saturday night all the way to Sunday to the 14th at sundown. Okay, then that first day is over with. The Sabbath is over with. So you can step back, look, follow me with the calendar. Monday on the 15th, buy and sell and cook. 16, buy and sell and cook. 17, buy and sell and cook. 18, buy and sell and cook. Now the 19th, let me look at it. Let me go look at my calendar because it's a new moon. Let me look at it. Bear with me. December the 19th at sundown, it's a new moon. So that new moon fall in there, okay? So it's more feasting. So you study cooking, it's feasting up, all right? Let's go back to the calendar, okay? So there's something very important. Friday night on the 19th, you might be scratching your head like, we can't cook. No, we're not stopping the Feast of Dedication because of the Sabbath. So you still cook. Friday night, all through Saturday, you cook. Okay? Right? You cook. So Saturday night on the 20th at sundown, that's gonna be the beginning of the beginning of the 8th day. That's a Sabbath. So no buying, no selling. Okay, no working. At Saturday night on the 20th at sundown, all the way to Sunday, the 21st at sundown, then that Sabbath is over with. The Feast of Dedication is over with. We did our 8 days. Okay? Right? So y'all should get it. If y'all, y'all got confused or whatever, hit me up on my email or Instagram. Okay? Right? So we keeping the Feast of Dedication. That's how we're keeping the Feast of Dedication. Okay? Right? Because we can't defraud ourselves from a good day. Let's go to the classic precept. Let me go to Sirach 14 and 14. I'm going to start with verse 11. My son, according to thy ability to do good to thyself, and give the Lord his due offering, right? So meaning do good to yourself during these feast days, right? And get your favorite food. Put that oil in y'all beards, brothers. Or get y'all favorite garment. Your sister put on y'all favorite dresses. Get y'all jewelry. All right, put on y'all favorite jewelry, okay? All right, and you have to give the Most High his due offering, right? And say the water, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, right? Verse 12. Remember that death will not be long in coming, and that the covenant of the grave is not shielded unto thee, right? Meaning all hell is about to break loose. Man, you got brothers, you know, that's like, I'll keep it next year. Well, guess what? It might not be no next year, okay? So death is around the corner. So the covenant of the grave is not shielded unto thee, meaning the Most High said, you got life. You are alive. All right, so the Most High give us liberty, enjoy these days that he given us in righteousness, right? So verse 13, do good unto thy friend before thou die, and according to thy ability, stretch out thy hand and give to him. Verse 14, defraud not thyself of the good day, and let not the part of a good desire overpass thee, right? So meaning, man, you brothers and sisters all over the world, Australia, London, Africa, Japan, wherever the country you at, y'all watching, y'all whatever camp y'all watching, whatever, you know, y'all keeping the feast of dedication, okay? Right? Don't rob yourself from a good day. Make your favorite meal. Put on your fancy garment, your fancy dress. Get your favorite wine. Get that lamb, get that deer, get that beef, get that buffalo, etc., etc. Don't defraud yourself from a good day. It's 8 days of feasting, okay? Right? So it's no fasting. So when Saturday night on the 13th at sundown, it's no fasting. You can't fast, all right? None of them days. The December the 21st at sundown. Now after that, brothers want to jump on your fast, go ahead. Okay? Now, and you brothers and sisters, y'all need to get a menorah, okay? Remember, y'all can light all candles, you know, all 7 of them, okay, each day, or you can just light up one each day, all right? But you need to order. You need to go to Amazon. That's a 5-inch, right? Okay? You brothers and sisters, you're new to the truth, go get your pocket from Amazon, okay? It's like $9.99, all right? Okay, so, and it's very important. Y'all want to stir up y'all mind. Either y'all can start reading now, or y'all can get close to it. December 13th at sundown, y'all need to start getting in the 1st and 2nd Maccabees. Y'all need to be in there, okay? All through the feast days. For them 8 days, I don't care if y'all finish it way before the 8th day. Guess what? You need to start back over and stay in that Maccabees, all right? Until, you know, the feast of dedication over with, you know, then you go back, you know, whatever chapter y'all left off at, you know, before the feast of dedication. You know, read the accounts how the Most High saved our forefathers from the enemies. This is what we celebrate, okay? Because the Most High, you know, he put our enemies to death, okay? That's why we celebrating this feast of dedication, right? So we want to know what this thing is about. So we need to read the accounts. Anyway, I want to give honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Shalom.